All right, everybody, welcome to the DealGen podcast, where we talk to investors, entrepreneurs, and business titans about a wide range of topics and experiences. The DealGen podcast is brought to you by DealGen Partners. DealGen Partners is the leading deal origination service on the market for private equity buyers. DealGen Partners combines their M&A and private equity experience with a proprietary method of multi-channel marketing services that they call the Bird Dog. This unique recipe generates transaction-ready deals at an unmatched pace and increases a private equity fund's chances of closing a deal by up to 10x. Reach out to DealGen Partners before you begin searching for your next investment. All right, everybody, welcome back to the DealGen podcast. I'm your host, Joe Zanka, and today I want to talk about organic growth. I think it's been something that's been on the top of my mind recently, definitely been on top of mind for DealGen. And learning about different ways that we can grow a company organically. Organic growth is growth within your existing business. So there's a few different ways to do it, right? One is the simplest way. You identify one product and you find as many ways to sell it as you possibly can. So an example I'll use is Big Red Gum, right? Big Red Gum has never changed from being exactly what it is right now, which is just Big Red Gum. It's the same product that they've had since inception. And I'm sure at the beginning they were selling it out of, one factory or one store, one location, and then they decided to find different ways to distribute their product, which would be, through retail stores, through, CVS's of the world, through I'm sure, they sell it a number of different ways, right? All over the place through different sales channels, but they've never changed their product. So it's just how do we sell more of this one product? That's one example of organic growth. I think another one that's been more top of mind for DealGen is, how can we continue to do what we're doing, selling the same product, but just monetizing it in different ways and adding on additional services to what we already do or additional ways to make money without changing what is the core of DealGen, which is originating opportunities for sale. And I think that's important. One, because in my past as an entrepreneur, um, it's been something where when I've thought about, I've reached kind of a point in a company where I thought that maybe growing an entire new arm of that business was a better alternative than just continuing to do what is the core of our business, right? So my first company was a moving and storage company. At the beginning, we were making a lot of our money from storing goods, right? And then in order to continue to make more money storing goods, we needed to invest in more warehousing space, more, equipment for the warehouse, all these different things. Every time you made money, you had to reinvest it back in. So we decided for a period of time, instead of doing that, let's use what we already have and just offer moving services, thinking that moving was identical to storage. Well, it's not. Moving is completely different. You had different skill set, different licensing, different, you need a lot more employees. You need, to map out a schedule a lot tighter, right? You make money on a job by job basis versus with storage, you can make repeatable recurring revenue. So in hindsight, that was I think a major mistake of ours, right? Instead of growing, instead of trying to find ways to just continue to sell storage or trying to find more ways to make money off of the things that were already in storage, we decided to open up basically a brand new business and offer moving. Um, and I don't think that didn't turn out to be a good idea. So my point, the moral of that story is, when we're talking about organic growth, I think a key component to it is, can you continue to do what you're already doing and really good at and what you've basically mastered and just position it a little bit differently on a case by case basis or maybe across the board where it allows you to just create more opportunities to make money or just more money in general, right? How can you take an existing client who's already paying you to do something, or an existing opportunity that you're already working on, and monetize it again? So that's something that's been going on a lot at DealGen. And I think, some examples that we've been testing and toying with are, you know, one would be our clients are private equity funds. Many of them operate out of a fund. Many of them operate on a deal by deal basis. So every time they do a new deal, they treat it exactly like that sounds, as a completely one off deal where they have to go raise the money to complete that deal, every single time from either the same sources or new sources, however they get it. Well, the debt markets and equity markets are really tight right now. And we like I said, we operate with a number of groups that need to raise every time they transact. So one thing we've been tossing around is, well, let's say we find our current business model is we find a company that's for sale, we introduce it to our client who's the buyer, and then typically we step out of the way, right? And if they are able to complete that transaction, we'll get paid by the buyer on that one transaction. And yeah, it can be a really good day sometimes. But what else is going on in the middle of that DealGen can help with? Well, if they need money for that transaction, why can't we use the tools that we already are using, use the same principles that we're already using to go out and find deals and find financing for that deal, right? So we go out and find a debt source that is willing to lend to our client for them to buy the company that we brought them. Now, let's say they execute that transaction and then they need debt and we bring the debt. Well, you know, why wouldn't the lender pay us the same way that our buyers pay us to originate that opportunity, right? And let's say it's similar or equal value to what we were going to get from our buyer. Well, now we've gotten paid twice for the same deal, um, and hopefully in many cases making almost double the money that we were going to make, right? So if we were going to make $10 for bringing this deal and getting it closed, but then we bring the debt and we help them finance, eight of the dollars that it took to buy that company. Um, well, now, we just got paid close to double for doing the exact same work. So that's an example of organic growth where you're utilizing the exact same skill set that you're already utilizing. You're utilizing the same tools. You're working on and with the same groups and on the same types of projects, right? Still working with our clients, still going out and finding deals. It's just now you're adding an extra layer to it where you can apply the exact same principles and make double the money. So it's almost as if, hey, I go somewhere and I get a manicure and, our store is only manicures. But someone's going to go get a manicure and get their nails done on their hands. They might as well do their toes too. That's probably a stupid example, but at the same time, we right now are only offering manicures to a degree. And we're not afraid of feet, so we'll go and might start offering that debt option. Another thing that we could do and that we've seen within our own business is that when we find a company that's for sale and it's being represented without a banker or without an M&A advisor, basically the CEO of the company that's for sale is trying to sell it on their own. There's a lot of risk there. Now, think about if you're sitting in DealGen's seat, we get paid when a transaction is complete. So to us, to everybody involved, the buyer, us in the middle, and the seller, completing the transaction is really all we're focused on. It's all that matters, right? Nothing happens unless the transaction gets completed. Nobody gets paid unless the transaction gets completed. So why not do whatever we can to make sure that happens? So another thing we were thinking about doing is, let's say we get a buyer and a seller who agree on a price, and our buyer submits an offer that gets accepted by the seller. Well, there's usually 60 to 90 days between of due diligence between, an LOI and an accepted offer and an actual closing of a company. And there's a lot that goes on in that 60 to 90 days. A lot of diligence, a lot of, just basically the buyer tearing apart the seller's company to see if there's any holes in what they're about to buy, to make sure it's, exactly what it was presented as when they made the offer. And if you're a seller who's running their company and trying to sell a business at the same time, it's easy when someone makes you a really nice offer to take your eye off the ball of running your business, right? So in that 60 to 90 days, if you don't continue to run your business at the same clip that you were when someone made you that offer, well, that offer is going to start to shrink, right? So if someone made you $100,000 offer to buy your company, and then in that 60, 90 days, your revenue starts to decline sharply. Well, now, that $100,000 offer might turn into 60,000 or $40,000. And, you lost almost, let's say, half of what you were going to get just because you took your eye off the ball of running your business to try to sell the company on your own. So where can DealGen step in there? Well, we've already made the match. We've already found the buyer. We've already found the seller. They've already accepted an offer. So at that point in time, can we step into place and help the person who's selling their business, let them continue to run their business and do all the information gathering and essentially, packaging of everything that the buyer needs on behalf of the seller? And will the seller pay us extra to do that? If we can ensure that they're going to make that $100,000 instead of losing half the transaction because they don't know how to sell a business, then wouldn't you pay someone a little bit more to ensure that you make 100% of the money that you were already offered, rather than try to do it yourself and eventually inevitably, lose potentially, half, if not all of it? They might pull the offer if you don't have your, shit together. So can we offer a service where we help sellers get the transaction closed? Something that we're toying with. I think that the answer is unequivocally yes. We already basically do it. And this is another thing too, right? So apply this outside of DealGen. If you own a business, look at what you're already doing and just see if there's things that you're doing for free, right? I'm already basically gathering up all the information on behalf of the seller, and I'm scheduling the calls and I'm presenting the information. I'm making sure they have it. I'm calling them when the buyer needs me to get in touch with them. I'm doing all this extra work to make sure the deal gets closed, but I'm not getting paid any extra for it. And would somebody pay me extra to do it? Would they want that service? I mean, I think we've basically asked both the buyers and the sellers on certain deals, hey, is this something that if we offered, you guys would be okay with, and would you be willing to pay for it? And the answer has been yes, many times over again. A couple people had some very genuine and good thoughts around, maybe no. And we listen to them, we just, the nice part about having an existing client base is that you can ask them questions and figure out if there's more that you can offer. So that's another area where we might organically try and grow, right? It's just, hey, is there a way to get paid instead of getting paid one time on a deal? Could we get paid 3 times? Could we get paid 5 times on a deal by truly adding more value to just that one single deal? And I think that is the organic growth that we're going to take. Obviously continuing to sell DealGen as if it's Big Red, right? Package, hey, we can go provide turnkey business development for your private equity fund. Selling that product over and over and over again is something that we're going to continue to do. But growing organically by adding more value to the thing that we're already good at is, I think, something that, a lot of businesses look at all the time. And I think that if you own a business right now and you're running a company, before you go out and launch a brand new service or brand new, offering that has nothing to do maybe with what you're already good at, um, take a look at what you're already doing and just see if there's ways to monetize it extra. I think it will be a lot easier. I think that you'd be shocked, at how much extra money you can make. I mean, if we were to, instead of right now, get paid just on a transaction closing by the buy side, also get paid for finding the money, also get paid, to make sure the seller has their stuff, their everything in line. That could be twice, if not three times as much as we were going to get on that one transaction. And like I said at the beginning, for almost no extra work. So take a look at what you got going on, see if there's other ways to make money with what you're already good at, and, stick with it. Thanks.